A teenager heard her own voice for the first time this week after a stray bullet hit her in the neck.
Someone shot Micaiah Carpenter as she was leaving work in uptown Minneapolis last month. Doctors didn't know if the 18-year-old would ever speak again.
You can 1,050 billion% bet your whole life savings that this girl was wokety-woke. A sun glider in Minneapolis? Forget about it.
A teenager heard her own voice for the first time this week after a stray bullet hit her in the neck.
Someone shot Micaiah Carpenter as she was leaving work in uptown Minneapolis last month. Doctors didn't know if the 18-year-old would ever speak again. Through a whisper, Micaiah told Jennifer Merrily the injury won't stop her from pursuing her dreams.
I'm taking things slow, trying to slowly process everything still.
Micaiah Carpenter has kept a positive attitude throughout her recovery. And she's talking again, in a whisper, a month after a bullet went through her neck, damaging her artery, trachea, and vocal cords.
What was it like when you heard your own voice?
I started crying. Because they said it was a possibility I could never speak again. But it was another miracle.
Her mom, Angela, deeply felt the moment, too.
I cried too, right away, just bawling.
She knew how close she was to losing her daughter.
It was hard. That phone call was the worst thing a mother could get.
I remember everything, from when I got to work to when I woke up in the hospital.
Micaiah was one of 7 shot when police say people started firing at each other near Lyndale and Lake Avenues in late August.
Remember, I covered this. Wow. The victims of these crimes, boy, when people start firing at each other. Very sanitized version of what happened. When sun men start firing at each other, the victims, man, their stories. What's left behind? What these guys leave in their wake when they just decide to open fire in crowded places and shoot whoever's in sight because they got kicked out of a bar or somebody looked at them funny, or there go them dudes from so-and-so place, or what you looking at? The residual, the collateral damage when they do that. And nobody can say that. And if you say something, people will criticize you for it. They'll be all mad and whining, fussing about you, talking about, well, geez. These guys, they've ruined a lot of lives. And then they're just going in the wind, no suspects. Never any suspects, nobody in custody. Nobody asking for, nobody checking up on, like, whatever happened to that, just no suspects. And they do it over and over and over again until they get caught, and then the prosecutor doesn't want to prosecute the case.
Micaiah was one of 7 shot when police say people started firing at each other near Lyndale and Lake Avenues in late August. The Minneapolis North High School grad, who was about to start nursing school, was standing outside the restaurant where she worked.
First shot went off. I just knew. The first shot hit me.
I just thank God she's here. She's alive with me. I didn't have to bury her.
They're grateful for all the prayers and support. Micaiah says she plans to keep smiling.
I'm not letting this stop me. I'm still going to be a nurse. I'm still going to go to college. I'm still going to do what I want to do.
In Minneapolis, Jennifer Merrily, WCCO 4 News.
Doctors have ordered a speaking valve to go over Micaiah's trach, and that should help her talk, and she'll get her feeding tube out soon. She says she is committed to her recovery.
Good afternoon. I'm Erica Sargent.
And I'm Brad Edwards. Brand new video just obtained by CBS 2. bullets flying as cars speed through a busy intersection in broad daylight.
CBS 2 investigator Megan Hickey is live at the scene where 4 innocent people were shot. And Megan, you've been talking with people who were right there when the gunfire started.
Right, Brad and Erica, it's hard to tell, but just 24 hours ago, this busy stretch of Milwaukee was the scene of a mass shooting where 4 innocent bystanders were injured. They were just going about their days, and witnesses tell me it could have been so much worse.
And this is happening all over the country, 24/7, 365. And it's the same group every time. Not only is this terrorism, this is satanic, man. To just be shooting random, like, all the time. Like, I mean, nobody covers more of this stuff than I do. And I'm like, it's crazy, man. This is absolutely crazy. Something needs to be done about this. Now, I talked about this on the live stream the other day. Make sure you join us every Tuesday and Friday at 9:30 p.m. on Ock Nation TV. The link to that channel is in the description box. Biden's hands are cuffed. 30 years ago, he wrote up a crime bill that was passed under the Clinton administration. And since then, he was the first sun glider, president's vice president. He's rehabilitated his image. He was known as a unrepentant racist for all those years. You can look at all the quotes and all his rhetoric and everything he said publicly. Some of it was just true, but very insensitive when talking about Sun people. But he's rehabilitated that throughout the course of the years. And now he's beloved. You know, he's known as Master Biden now. And he's praying to God that this crime wave dissipates and slows down so he doesn't have to come back 30 years after his first crime bill, which he was excoriated for and eviscerated for. It was a big stain on his legacy, even though in hindsight, it gave us 30 years of somewhat normalcy. Because what is everybody saying now? It's going back to the early 90s. Things are going back to where they were in the 90s. So, in a weird way, Biden is like one of the most... he should be on Mount Rushmore for that first crime bill, but he doesn't want to have to do another one. And I just don't, like I said in the live stream, I don't think he can make it to 2024 without enacting another serious, strict, draconian crime bill, because it's out of control, man. Sun men are like, they know that there's nothing, they know that you can't do nothing to them. They know that they're protected class. They know that they're entitled. They know that everybody's just their prey. They're like, they're shooting fish in a barrel. They have the stage. You gave them the stage. In 2020, you said everybody off the stage, Sun men to the front. And this is what they're giving you. And Biden's going to have to give, I don't think he can make it to 2024. Get in the comment section. Tell me if you think at this current rate we're going at, he can make it to 2024 without doing something about this.
Right, Brad and Erica, it's hard to tell, but just 24 hours ago, this busy stretch of Milwaukee was the scene of a mass shooting where 4 innocent bystanders were injured. They were just going about their days, and witnesses tell me it could have been so much worse.
Literally 2.5 block span was a war zone, literally a war zone of firemen, ambulances, police officers.
This Fulton River District resident asked us to conceal his identity. He's rattled after this surveillance video captured the moment he and his wife were caught in the crossfire of Wednesday's violent shootout between 2 cars in the Fulton River District. They were in the dark SUV in front of the white sedan.
I immediately said to my wife, "Get down, get down, get down."
This witness tells me they ducked just in time as one of those bullets hit his car.
As you can see, the bullet came right through my taillight and it shot through, and there's an indentation right up there on the car, and that's where the bullet lodged on the inside.
Chicago police say 2 cars were chasing each other through the neighborhood and shooting. 5 people were shot.
There was a gentleman who was hanging out of the car with a gun with a giant magazine.
Those extendos, I told you, they don't. You if you find one of these young men or sun teens with a Glock that doesn't have an extendo clip in it, that's like finding a unicorn, man. Like, they all have those extended magazines.
There was a gentleman who was hanging out of the car with a gun with a giant magazine.
4 were innocent bystanders.
They were shooting like dozens of shots.
Doug Simons tells me he was driving home from the gym when he pulled up on the scene and found this cyclist with a gunshot wound to his leg.
He might have been in shock, but he was cogent. But I said to him, thank God it was your leg. You know, if they'd hit him in the torso or the head, it might have been a much different outcome.
The hardest part of the video for this witness isn't the sound of countless gunshots. It's one of the innocent victims screaming for help.
But why has the city turned into the wild, wild west? Really, truly believe that we need to send a message to our leaders. You're our leaders. Start leading.
Did this pasty liberal have the nerve to ask why their city turned into the wild, wild west? Wow. You know what? I take it back, man. If you're going to act like you don't know that you guys created this, then I don't feel sorry for these people. Because at least have the fortitude, the force of character, just be a man and admit that you're the reason it's like this. Yes, you're not doing it, and we're holding those who actually are doing the shooting accountable on this channel. However, with all your marching and your whining and your criminal justice reform, who you think criminal justice reform helps? Criminals, you idiot. Who do you think police reform helps? Your grandmother? No, police reform helps criminals. Because they're the ones dealing with police. What do you think emboldening criminals does? It leads to guys hanging out the windows with magazines, shooting up, and nobody's been caught in that. None of them guys have been brought to justice. And if they do, the prosecutor's not going to prosecute it. They'll get an ankle monitor, a trial in 2023, and it'll probably be no paper. Or dismissed. And if they're juveniles, you can forget about anything happening to them if they're juveniles. Especially since no one died.
But why has the city turned into the wild, wild west? Really, truly believe that we need to send a message to our leaders. You're our leaders. Start leading, you know?
Now, a 29-year-old Lyft passenger was also shot. At last check, he was in critical condition. The other victims were transported in good condition. Today, Chicago police didn't have an update for us. They said they have no offenders in custody, and Area 3 detectives continue to investigate. Live in the Fulton River District, Megan Hickey, CBS 2 Investigators.
New tonight, a Gwinnett County man is behind bars after police say his gun went off, striking and killing his next-door neighbor.
Well, we finally found a case that'll probably get national attention of someone just shooting recklessly. Now, this was the one that was probably really an accident. However, this will probably be the one that garners the most attention. The other two, you won't hear nothing about them anywhere but here. This, you'll see tweets all over social media. Maybe athletes will chime in on it. The mayor may make a statement. The police chief will meet with the family.
New tonight, a Gwinnett County man is behind bars after police say his gun went off, striking and killing his next-door neighbor. Good evening, I'm Courtney Bryant.
And I'm Russ Spencer. Thanks for joining us tonight. It happened at an apartment complex in Duluth, and the victim's family says her son made the gruesome discovery. Fox 5's Eric Perry has the heartbreaking story.
Police say the man charged was cleaning his gun when it went off, going through the wall, hitting the woman in the next apartment in the head.
We're shaken by this right now.
An unimaginable tragedy for George Foley as he tries to process his sister's untimely death.
Let's get in us through his prayer.
Gwinnett County police say 36-year-old Carletha Foley was killed after her neighbor, 22-year-old Maxwell Williamson, accidentally fired his gun while cleaning it inside this Duluth apartment Friday, September 25th. Police say the bullet went through the wall, hitting the mother in the head while she was asleep.
Wow. That is just tragic, man. This is a horrible story. Oh, man. Yikes.
Her 17-year-old son later found his mother unresponsive and called for help.
He's doing the best he can. That's how he's doing. 1 minute he's okay, the next minute he's not.
It's a difficult journey of healing for this family. The mother and son moved to Metro Atlanta about 2 years ago from Houston, Texas, and was known as the life of the party.
Full of life, fun, always smiling. One thing about Carletha, she was a go-getter.
As this family works to finalize funeral plans, this brother is having to deal with grief and pain as he continues to process what happened.
You have a gun and you stay in an apartment or wherever you're at, you need to be careful about what you're doing because some lives could be turned upside down, and our lives have been turned upside down.
And Williamson is behind bars without bond, charged with involuntary manslaughter and reckless conduct. Eric Perry, Fox 5 News.